Well, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, let's go for it.
This is the craziest one ever.
I'm on the road here. I'm in the passenger seat. We're gonna roll with it. If I freeze up, and that just might be just how it goes.
I'm just gonna pick it up. So how far into North Carolina are you?
Oh, we're about an hour into it. An hour over the border. We just came along I-40 where it got washed out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was an accident along there, so we sat there for maybe an hour, give or take, before it started moving again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're well through that now, and well on our way.
Awesome. It's so wonderful to see your face.
I know, isn't it? No.
It is.
It's good to see you too, and to be able to be here.
Yeah. No, Linda. So John is not driving. He's doing training right now. So somebody else is driving.
Yeah. I'm in the passenger seat, rolling.
For a little bit, yeah. So anyway, shall we dive in while the connection is really good?
Absolutely.
All right. So welcome everybody to Deservingly You. This, as you guys know, is a space where we talk honestly about what it takes to rebuild after systems of control and to learn how to live self-led lives. Oh, we got somebody here from Brisbane, Australia. Welcome. Nice to have you.
Definitely. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
So I am Shannon Avery Briggs. I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness and a certified transformational resilience coach, co-founder of Luminous Connections and the Exit Generation movement. And tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. The last episode, actually, Johnny, I'm going to mute you for a second, okay?
Okay.
So last week, or the last episode, we actually had, we talked about giving yourself permission to feel and about having one small act of kindness toward yourself. And tonight we actually are, in a way, we're going to be practicing that a little bit in real time, because these last few weeks have been a lot for John and I. And I almost didn't show up again today. It wasn't because I didn't want to, but I've been super tired, emotionally, physically, and mentally. And then I thought, but that's exactly why we need to talk, because I know that some of you guys are tired too. So here's the invitation for tonight. By the end, hopefully you'll walk away with one thing and one piece of ground that you can stand on when life isn't pausing for your healing. And so, like we said, we've got Johnny with his on the road, so it might be a little clunky tonight, but I'm going to turn the mic over to him now.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm John Briggs, also an ExJW transformational resilience coach, co-founder of Luminous Connections, and along for the ride with X Generation as well. These past few weeks have been a lot. Shannon had to drive 12 hours to come get me down to Salt Lake City with 3 dogs. Then we packed the car and then just turned around and went straight back. So that took a lot. But in order for me to hit the ground running on Monday, to be in Kentucky for this new position and new company. And the version of me from the past would have just pushed through it. Okay? But and just kept going, and performed, okay, and told everybody I was fine. But I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm here, and we're both tired from that. And I actually got to, my flight was canceled. My connecting flight was canceled Sunday night, so I didn't even get to town till like 5 a.m. I didn't get any sleep and was in class by 8 a.m. Actually, by more like 7:15, I was there. That was a long day. I couldn't do my drive test because I hadn't gotten any sleep. So, but I showed up and we got all rolling, and here I am. So yeah, that's it. In a nutshell.
Okay, thank you. So if you guys are here live, type live in the chat. I'm going to mute Johnny again because I keep getting kind of a squeaky sound in the background. Oh, he muted himself. Great. Thank you for doing that.
I can mute myself going forward.
Okay, I will let you do that. I know tonight's going to be a little bit different and a little bit crazy. If the conversations like this matter to you, please share and like and subscribe and hit notify so that you don't miss anything that comes up. It is going to be different. Like we said tonight, we're not going to go in. It may not be as long, or it may end up being longer. We'll see. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So before we go any further, we want to, once again, we always want to set the space. And this is that time and that space for reflection and curiosity and that awareness over judgment and self-criticism. What we want to do is we want to be looking at what's happening to ourselves in our own lives right now so that we can move forward with more clarity. So go ahead and use the chat and share what stands out, share what services, but have it be focused on you and not be pointing it at other people. Okay, so like I said, tonight's going to be a little bit different. We're not planning on going into any frameworks tonight because honestly, like John was saying, these past couple weeks have totally wiped us and it has zapped me. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what's been going on. So Arizona is starting to heat up, and we had air conditioning issues earlier this week. And John, like he said, he needed to get home from Salt Lake City, and renting a car was actually going to cost us close to like $1,000 because it was like so close to the time and going over the state lines and stuff like that. And there was just no way that we could swing that. If he was going to fly, he couldn't get his stuff home. And now some of the airlines are starting to charge for your carry-ons even. So that was out of the option as well. Now the company that he was with did offer to put him on a bus, which would have meant about 35 to 40 hours on the road. And if he would have done that, there's no way that he would have been ready to fly to Kentucky by Sunday after that. And so I grabbed the dogs and I drove 24 hours, 12 hours up, 12 hours back, 3 dogs. And I had a lot of beautiful country to look at and also a lot of time to think. And here's some of the things that I noticed. I was sad. I don't have my sisters to call up and share all this craziness with anymore. I called a couple of friends and I did get some help at the last minute, but overall, I still felt really alone. The other thing is I hate asking for help because I was and I am the person who actually typically helps others. So there's another thing too, is if we look at the question that we've got on this slide, who shows up for you when you're the one who shows up for everybody? One of the things that I've had to learn and that I'm still learning is that I don't know how to need people. I knew how to be needed, even if it was that superficial level that we used to experience. In the org, we were wired in that one direction and always giving and always giving. Now, John and I have done a lot of training in the last few years. And in those trainings, we've always had breakouts, which is that's where we got the idea for the breakouts with the exit generation. And there would usually be about 5 questions. And they always started with, what are you grateful for? And they always ended with, what do you need help with? That last question, that's the one that I struggled with. But what was even more interesting to me, what I had to learn, and like I said, I'm still learning, is how to even know what I needed in the first place. Because when we were within that the organization, we had given all of that away. We didn't have true wants, we didn't have true desires. And when somebody asked us how we were, we always would say, I'm fine. And so that's been one of the hardest parts of this work. And it still shows up for me today. And when I first started taking steps in my own business, for example, people could see me coming. And part of that was because I didn't know what I needed. And so now that I've learned a lot along the road, I'll admit now I kind of like to have fun with them. And I'll play with their scripts. I had the opportunity to do this just yesterday and ask deep questions and kind of mess with them. But being able to do that and not to get pulled in to their strategy, that took practice and it took years. So then if we look to, there's the thought underneath that question, that it feels like nobody's coming to help. And that's an ExJW truth that few have said out loud. And it's not that people are bad or that you're unloved, but the network isn't there anymore. And you weren't trained to really know and understand what you truly need without feeling like you're that you're taking advantage of somebody. This reminded me when I was thinking about this, it reminded me of my sister when she got married years ago, and how her new family was lent a car to drive from Texas to Montana. And as the years went on, I watched how this family, how they felt entitled to that kind of treatment, because the whole family was in that full-time, I almost said service, but I want to call it what it actually is. They were in the full-time slavery. And that's a piece of what was installed, that idea that community owes you because you gave everything to the organization. But outside of that, we have to figure out a different way, a way that doesn't take advantage, where we don't take advantage, and a way that still lets us actually need things and be able to speak up about what we need. And so that's the goal tonight, is to kind of cover, kind of dig up some of these different ideas. So it's going to be kind of a story night. And I'm going to let Johnny pop in any time that he wants. So it might be a little bit crazy. So please bear with us. So
okay, then. Well, here we go.
Go ahead.
Okay. Want me to take this one?
Sure.
Okay. So tonight is the real conversation about what it actually looks like to keep going when life doesn't pause for your healing, right? That sounds familiar. Because it doesn't pause, okay? And AC going out doesn't pause. The smoke detector going out for Shannon, that doesn't pause. Trust me on that one. Life doesn't slow down. It doesn't let you pause certain, sometimes in that regard. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was driving down the road, and having all of these miles ahead of me, and Johnny, you want to mute again? When I had all of these miles ahead of me, I was, driving through the beautiful desert and the beautiful mountains and seeing some of the things that the Native American spots had along the way. There were 4 ideas that actually came to me. And I know, I said no framework tonight. I really tried. I tried hard. It's so ingrained in me. So please forgive me. Hopefully it's a little bit simpler. But this first one is, your life isn't pausing for your healing. is actually a normal thing. It's not a sign that you're doing anything wrong, and it's not a punishment. But here's where I want to go a little bit deeper with this, because life doesn't pause for us, but we have to remember to actually pause for us. And it can feel like, like we were a fish and swimming up against the current. And so there can feel like there's a lot of pressure there. And I think that sometimes we can expect life to pause with us, but it's not going to. So we have to remember to be the ones to pause, or life can sweep us away. Now, the second thought that I had that came to me was that isolation is real. Now, I did not hesitate 1 minute to jump in the car when John needed to come home. And the dogs were excited about going for the RIDE. I can't say it out loud because they will go crazy here in the room. So they were excited about going for the RIDE as well. But I felt isolated on those back highways, and especially when it got dark. And I also had to time the brakes just right, because all three dogs, would need a break and need to eat and need to use the restroom. And the rest stops for me meant leaving them in the car, which totally freaks me out. And especially for Riley, because when we moved to North Carolina, he actually got his foot caught in a carabiner clip. And we had to call the police and to actually have them come and cut it off. And poor little guy, he also has a tendency towards PTSD. Yes, I have a dog that has PTSD. And if he gets triggered, he will go after Buster. And so I had to make sure that we had choreographed breaks. And I also, being relatively new to the area and stuff, I really didn't have friends that I could call to go with us. The few people that I did have, one of them was working, one of them just got out of the hospital. And there's another one that it's just a person that I can't count on. But it's, it's really amazing how the universe will talk to you and say things for you and communicate, when you least expect it. So here I was getting the dogs ready, and I was putting them in the back seat and getting them all hooked up on the seat belts and everything like that. And I reached in, there's a pocket on the back side of the seat. And I reached into that back pocket and I pulled out this bag. And inside this bag was actually a patio stone that I bought on our move from North Carolina, Arizona. And we'd forgotten about it. And it says, "Life is a journey." And, we've been in John's car 100 times. And we unpacked it, we moved out and everything. How could we not find this when we unpacked it? But it was just waiting for that moment. It was the message that I needed to hear right then. So then by the time that John and I got home, I drove all the way up there, grabbed John. We packed up the car, turned right around. We didn't stay at a hotel, nothing. We just turned right around and drove back. So it was 24 hours. John and I were both beyond wiped by the time we got home. And I hadn't done a trip like that and since for over a decade. Now, I used to live in Seattle and I grew up in Montana, so I would drive back and forth between those places all the time. But that was years ago. And I knew that there was no way that I could do a show last Sunday. And so I did post it in the Exit Generation group and a few others, but I just didn't have it in me after 24 hours on the road. And so I canceled everything. I had plans to do some community meetups and stuff like that weekend too, but there was no way that I was going to perform. And that was something that I would have done in the past. But I recognized that my body was telling me that I needed a break. And it's tough when you feel committed to a purpose, like this show. And so it was really hard to cancel. I felt sad, but one of the things that's new, that's shifted in me from the past, is that I felt sad, but I didn't feel guilt. And that's different than how it would have been also within the organization. I was still feeling it a few days later, and then that isolation hit again. You know, John flew out, took off to Kentucky, and now he's in North Carolina. I was alone with the dogs again. So I pulled away and did the isolation for a little bit on my own end. So I didn't go to those business networking events that I had planned on going to. And I hadn't reached out to the new group. It's another it's a group that another ExJW and I that have started. You're going to hear more about that here in a minute. But then after I missed those networking meetings, there were a couple of people that ended up reaching out. And so I was starting to feel a little bit better, getting a little bit more energy and everything. And then the air conditioning went out. And then the smoke detector started going off. And with that, though, you know, there were a few people that did end up reaching out to me. But here's the thing, like with isolation, is that it can feel intensified when our stress and our cortisol are up. So by the end of the week, what I did was I made myself go to a trivia night at a local coffee shop. And the topic was Harry Potter, of all things. I know nothing about Harry Potter, only the title, like just Harry Potter. That's the only thing I know. But I ended up meeting a really lovely grandmother and her 3 grandchildren who were visiting from California. And fortunately, they knew most of the answers. But meeting their grandmother, she's part of the historical organization here. And so I got to learn a little bit more about Maricopa. And I have some more ideas of things that I can do when that sense of isolation hits. And with Johnny going to be being away for longer periods of time and stuff. So when the air conditioning crashed and the smoke detector started going off, you know, I would have loved to have called my sisters and say, you're not going to believe this, especially after last week. So I feel a little bit sad about this, but I don't feel isolated. Does that make sense? Is this resonating with everybody? Anybody? Would love to see your thumbs up or nope, this is stupid. So the third one was you're allowed to be depleted. And that not performing is okay and not pushing through. You know, when we were depleted was evidence that you weren't doing enough. And the answer was always to do more, you know, whether it was more meetings, more service, more study, more prayer, go on and on and on. But out here, when we see depletion, that's information. That's our body telling us that we need to pause, and it's allowed. And the thing is, like we said earlier, the world isn't going, or life isn't going to pause for you. So you have to recognize when you need to take the pause. So then we had the last one, you know, showing up anyway counts. Even when it's messy. I did comb my hair today. I took a shower, but I feel like right now in some sense, because of everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks, it feels really messy. And even when you're not sure that you can, and even as a hot mess, as John keeps popping in and out of StreamYard at the moment because of the connection and stuff. So it's a hot mess, but I decided to show up anyway. We decided to show up anyway. And I feel lost without him, like that solid piece of him being here, but I did it anyway because it counts. Even if I'm a hot mess. And I still struggle with that sense of having to show up and look a certain way, that polished, cheerful, prepared, being strong. but I'm learning to give what I actually have that's real. And I want you to think about that for a minute too, as we think about where we were in showing up, because hopefully we have all grown enough that what we do have to offer now is real, instead of that superficial fake crap that we used to do in the past. That takes practice. It doesn't always come naturally because of all of the training that we went. So what about you guys? Of those 4, life is not pausing, isolation, allowed to be depleted, or showing up anyway, which one is loudest for you tonight? Feel free to drop the number in the chat, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I know I promised no frameworks, and it kind of looks like a framework, so hopefully you'll forgive me, even though I said. And if it's hitting close, if you want to come up on the stage, you're more than welcome to. We can pop you on too. Oh, I guess I need to do the invite. So let me get the invite. Maybe. I miss Ruby. being here, and because she used to do all this stuff for me behind the scenes. All right. Well, Leonard says 2, so the isolation is real. I know that going out to that event definitely helped. And so decreasing that isolation, and also, taking the pause so that I can bring my cortisol down and feel like I'm calmer and stuff too. That also helps with that isolation. Well, hopefully we can get back. Thank you, John. I know she's definitely missed. We had to use a different form of StreamYard. So as soon as things kind of get rolling and stuff, we definitely want her back. So that is the plan for sure. All righty. Well, so I wanted to share something with you guys. Many of you know that I was in corporate for a lot of years. And one of the things that we would talk about a lot back then was how the different teams would end up working in silos, and how that by having that kind of behavior, it was actually a detriment to the overall company. And we could see real improvement when we developed cross-functional teams. And you're probably thinking, as I'm sharing all of this stuff about corporate, what the heck does this have to do with this? Well, as John from the JW Analyzer says, I saw a pattern. So it's been great seeing groups like the Liberati, the ExJW Friends, exjwfriends.com groups, and some of those where they'll list coaches and therapists and counselors and so on. But I haven't seen any where they've really worked together. We see a lot of YouTube channels that are sharing stories, ex-members going on the different shows and going back and forth and sharing, but I haven't really seen this kind of collaboration and this kind of working together. On the last episode, we talked about how to look for a counselor, and as coaches, we strongly support that, going into the counseling and stuff. But as many of you know, most folks don't understand what ex-JWs went through. And so I got curious and I wondered, what if we actually got together and learned from one another and supported one another and were better equipped to recommend one another? And what if we could highlight the different programs that each of us offers? I met with another coach from Washington State, and we decided to build this together. And so we started this network. Now, this is a group for coaches and counselors and therapists, and helping any that are helping especially serve that ExJW community. And we want to be able to connect to one another and learn from one another and know how to better serve this community. And also, if there's, they've got special offers and resources available, then that can actually help. And so when John and I first woke up, we looked at the type of help that was available. And what we found was a lot of people with really good intentions who didn't understand what the community was actually navigating. Therapists who wanted to talk about a relationship with God, or coaches who didn't know the difference between leaving a job and leaving a worldview. That's a gap that we want to try to close. And here's what we want to do with this on this show on Deservingly You. Our goal is to invite some of these professionals onto special episodes with us to have real conversations about the challenges of the ExJW life and what actually helps people through them. Sharing tools, sharing techniques, different ways to heal, because you all know this isn't a one size fits all. And here's the other thing, is that the community is huge. And every single one of us personally knows that we can use all the help that we can get. So if by chance, anybody that is watching this, if you are a coach, a counselor, a therapist, a wellness professional serving this community, please reach out, because we would genuinely love to connect with you, and we're better together. We do have a Facebook group that this is the banner for it. So, we do highlight the ExJW Coaches, but it's ExJW Coaches Wellness and Helping Professionals Network. So that's our exciting thing. It looks like Leonard went to join. So I'm going to bring Johnny back up too. And we'll bring Leonard up. Leonard, did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, yes. I just wanted to go back to the isolation part of it. I just felt so isolated for so long until I just felt like, well, hey, I don't even want to open up to anybody, because I just felt so, could I say alone? If that make more sense? Because that's just how I felt.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like it's time to experiment.
I guess
one of the last things that we had talked about with you was doing the volunteer work, and that could help with that sense of isolation as well.
Yeah, well, I can assume, right? I guess that would help out more with the isolation.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm gonna take you off now so that I can finish what we were talking about. Okay, Leonard?
Okay.
Thank you for your comment.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think of this idea of getting some of us that are doing this work together to be able to help and to learn more? I'm really curious. Let me know. All right. Like I said, tonight's probably going to be a little bit shorter. Next week, we're back with the next episode. What did you actually leave? We're focusing on phase 2 of the framework that John and I had worked on, that we drafted out for the exit generation paths. And so we're diving into phase 2, which focuses on grief. And so the grief, that we experience when we leave is real, and it's also layered. And most people around you will never fully understand it. And so this episode helps you to name exactly what you lost. Because when like Johnny says, how he says all the time too, you name it to tame it. When we're able to do that, then that can help us. And so when you are able to do that, then you can start grieving even more, actually heal from the grief. And so if you haven't, please subscribe, hit the like button, turn on the notification. And if you know anybody who's carrying losses like this, bring them with you next week. So our goal, as long as we can, our goal is to be here next week. Any other thoughts, Johnny? I know I left you out with you bouncing around and stuff. You're muted, babe.
It's been hard for me to follow this the entire time because I've been in and out a number of times. I had to get back in, so I'm kind of discombobulated with it. But if you go on to the next slide, I can touch on that briefly, maybe.
The quote?
Yeah. So. Yeah, and before we do that, before we close, we can leave you with this. You're allowed to be both a masterpiece and a hot mess of progress simultaneously. I like that.
Yeah, I saw a similar quote like that. And so I'm owning this one. I'm owning the adapted version, this version of it. So, yeah, you're in a bad spot again.
Talking to everybody here.
Yeah, you're in a bad spot again, babe. So I'm going to take it over. I'm going to go ahead and mute. All right, thank you. All right, so you all showed up today, and that's part of the work. And so whatever your week looked like, even if your air conditioning went out, or the smoke detector decided to throw a concert at 2 a.m., or your dog ate something it shouldn't have and now their poop is purple, you locked yourself out, the dishwasher decided that it was on its final performance, or your phone died at the worst possible moment, or your partner in your show is on the freeway somewhere in North Carolina, or your toilet ran for 3 days, or Murphy's Law just decided to set up camp at your house this week. That's what it's felt like kind of here. But you're here, and that matters more than you ever know. So just a quick note before we close, we're not going to be having the breakout tomorrow. We're going to be back with you the following Monday. And we've got some good stuff coming. We're going to be focusing on that grief and stuff. So in the meantime, if this show means something to you, you can support us at ko-fi, so it's ko-fi.com/deservingly. Every little bit helps helps us keep showing up for you. And also subscribe if you haven't yet. And please come find us inside the Exit Generation on Facebook. That's our community. That's where the real conversations keep going. That's where you're going to see like some of the meetups the local meetups. And we want to be able to start seeing stuff like that, around the world even. So please come join us. So that's what we've got for you tonight. Like I said, we know that it's a little bit shorter than what we normally do. Thank you so much for being here and trusting this space with whatever you brought in tonight. And come find us in the Exit Generation, and we will see you next week. Sorry, Linda, I just saw you.
Hey, thank you for showing up all discombobulated in your hair and all sticking out. Thank you, and for John, like in and out and got lost in the conversation. Thank you. Very relatable. I appreciate that very, very much. And you did a great job.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
And it shows how much you are dedicated to your commitment to us, yet letting us know you're a bit off balance. Thank you for that too. That is so relatable. But so relatable. That's how I showed up to the show today. Like when you were saying the last thing you were asking an answer for, I was still cleaning my glasses, so I couldn't even answer right away. And I could just hear you. You were like, "Yep, I've given enough of my bandwidth. It is time to close up and give the love, and then let it all go." And that was a smart decision too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were paying attention to a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we did miss you guys last week. I just didn't have it in me. If you think I'm discombobulated
no, that's smart.
today, you just seen me last week.
I can't even imagine getting in a car for 6 hours and bringing the kids too. I mean, the 4-legged kids. Oh gosh. But I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, it was.
I would have done the same thing. Mm-hmm.
I left here like at 12:30 in the afternoon and got to pick up Johnny. I think I got to Salt Lake City at 11. It was like 12 hours later, so it was like 12:30 in the morning. And then we turned around and came back. We just packed. He had all of his stuff outside the truck, and we packed the Rogue up and then turned around and came back immediately. So I got about 3 hours of sleep. And
now that we are mature, that kind of stuff will kick our ass for another week. Okay? You were talking about back in the day, I could do that, no problem.
Yeah.
Not today. But we would do it still. When necessary, we will do it without even any hesitation. But scheduling that burnout time is also important.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, so of course you couldn't do the show. And I'm thankful that you thought ahead of time and gave us a heads up too. Thank you for that.
Well, I have one of the people that come to our show on a regular basis that I know that helps her out a lot.
I think I might know a bit about that.
So I don't ever like to do it, and I felt really bad, about even canceling it all. But
no, you have to when you have to. And, as long as you are just given a heads up, to me, you're still keeping your commitment with us. Something came up, we're not going to be able to do it. That still is keeping your commitment. But you're also giving us a heads up, so that doesn't mean you're not being, committed to what you're committed to cause here.
Yeah.
And that's for us to really tap into what's going on with us. And you're right. There's not very many groups that offer what you and John do. And the kindness that comes with the requests that you make, you and him, of really tapping into what we're experiencing with the ideas of different scenarios, is very forgiving and very liberating.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Well, as you could probably tell too, I threw this together.
Good for you, and thanks for just showing up raw and discombobulated. I enjoyed today, and
Oh,
that's what I wanted to tell you. Thank you.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I thought, okay, it's going to be story night. Story after story after story.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that. And I've been going through the isolation thing myself. I actually, yeah, oh, I can't stand this about myself. Can I talk a few more minutes about
Sure,
what you brought up in the show? Okay,
absolutely.
let me go back to when you said you have a hard time asking. Oh my gosh. Okay, this has been a very tough one for me. I won't ask for help when I need it. I am used to being the one that gave the help.
Yep.
That was my position. And today I'm in a position of I need to request for help because I'm not as equipped as I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what I've learned is this. I used to get great joy in being able to be the giver. I was equipped and gave freely and enjoyed every minute of it. It was a true blessing, not necessarily religiously using that word, but it was enjoyable. Now, today, I'm in a position of needing assistance and help and all this, and it's very hard for me to help. And what I realized is I'm actually robbing others of that blessing or that joy that they could be experiencing in helping me out.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm sitting here holding back because I don't want to be the one to ask when I'm probably robbing them of the joy, whoever it could be, the joy that they could be experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
What do you think of that thought about being clear on what you need and how it can be more difficult to ask for help if you can't articulate like what you need?
that's very important. That's part of that being honest with yourself or myself. What am I in need of? I'm in need of whatever it is I'm needing help with. I'm going to need somebody to drive me there. And, whatever it is, I think of it ahead of time and ask. But just the thought process of getting clear on my vulnerability in my request is like, I don't like it, whatever it is. I don't like it. I'm in chronic pain. I don't like it. I'm not who I used to be physically. I don't like that. But again, I need to be clear on what I'm asking. And you know what? I hate going to the doctors. So you know what I do? I demand stickers. The ones I give to the kids? I demand them and I reward myself with whatever stickers they have there. I'm like, can I have some stickers, please? Because I finally made it through the whole doctor visit with all my high anxiety and oh God, I have white coat phobia, which has nothing to do with whoever's in the white coat in front of me. It's my history and stuff, and I'll tell them, I'm sorry, I don't want to be here, but I'm glad and proud of myself for being here.
I love that. Yeah. I love that you ask for stickers.
Oh God, yes. Rewarding myself. It's a reward to myself. So whether I can, get myself something that I really enjoy, like a Starbucks coffee, which I used to be able to have on a daily basis when I was working. Today, it's a once in a while treat. So maybe I'll get myself a Starbucks. I'll ask the person who's driving me there, can we drive through Starbucks on the way back, and reward myself and get them one too,
Yeah.
But
I
it's
am looking at designing some stickers as well as like some t-shirts and stuff like that aligned with the Exit Generation stuff.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Exit Generation that is exactly what we're doing. We are exiting.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, definitely. So I had started a little bit of it before the Salt Lake City trip, and then it kind of threw me off, and so
yeah. Well, you're up to it. Get back to it.
I'll get back to it.
I'm looking forward to seeing them. Yeah. So there's that. Hard to ask for help, and then there's what else was I going to say? I lost it. But anyways, a lot of the stuff you were bringing up today, I was struggling to be able to comment back because I'm aching, you know. But
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, girlfriend is still showing up. That is so awesome. I'm feeling I'm feeling the awkwardness of you and Johnny. So thank you for still being so committed to us that you still all showed up and flopped around, you know. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. You saw him flopping around in that truck, huh?
Yeah. Yep. I could just imagine whoever's driving what they're thinking of him, and he's just doing it with no hesitation, not worrying about what they're thinking, just being his gift. You're being your gift.
Yeah. I
Really
think
cool.
that I'll find out for sure, but I have a feeling he thinks it's actually kind of cool.
Good. Good. I'm
Yeah.
glad.
Yeah. So it was
And
well,
I like that hot mess in progress.
yeah.
Sometimes that's what we're going to do is just be a hot mess in progress and
Yeah.
show up that way too.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to keep the show on Sundays. We don't know what his schedule's going to be like yet, so we'll kind of have to wait and see.
Okay.
And so we'll
We've done that before.
Yep.
We've done that before. We've scheduled it around whatever schedule comes up for him, and
Yeah.
it's important to have both of you if that's possible. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
there's been times that he's
working
not
with,
able to show up.
yeah, he's
And you're
supposed to be
good
working
too.
with teams, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Well, thanks for letting me show up and share what was
Absolutely.
on my mind.
You're welcome. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye bye.
All right, thanks again, everybody.